All right. How about now? Good on audio? All right. Let me get one more reset. All right. Testing, testing. Looks like we're good this time. Apologies for that. Still having some technical issues with my main microphone. So that's why you have backups in place. And let's go ahead and get back into it. So, good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a really nice, relaxing, solid weekend. And as always, let's get right into the market that was and the market that's up and coming by starting off with engineering the markets. So, my name is Jared. It is August 16th, 2021. We have a couple things to look over. Going to be doing more of a recap for today, but we'll look at a few interesting analysis methods today, along with some synopsis of what could be likely this week based on some of the volatility expansion that we're seeing across different markets. So, starting off with last week's performance, we're actually going to start off with the bond market. Um, if you've been watching Engineering the Markets, if you've been catching some of Brian's weekly market recaps, or if you've just been paying attention to the marketplace as a whole, you'll know that the bond market is having a pretty significant effect on short term price action inside some of the index products that we like to monitor. For last week, we had some interesting uh, volatility inside of something like the TLT. And ultimately, we had a pretty weak bond market for most of the week. So we had a very significant gap down from relative highs. We were noting back in time that the momentum was starting to slow, and we were seeing some sort of bearish structure along with the potential for bearish setups if you were looking to short the bond market. That ultimately did come to fruition. We did see a pullback. And in the larger context, of course, we're seeing some weekly resistance at the 50. We have yet to close a weekly candle above the 50 period, and therefore still seeing some weakness and consolidation in this range. But last week, as the bond market was selling off, we had some interesting strength in our inflationary sectors. I'll just bring up financials as sort of the leader of the entire group, but financials really proved that there was some sort of sector rotation of capital into these names. And it was a very strong return with the fact that the financials were quite choppy and non directional prior. Now, what's interesting about this is the TLT did come to a previous swing high. We saw some potential indecision in this area, along with increased pressure to the buy side. Ultimately, the volume profile was changing during this period of indecision, and it led to a pretty significant trend day on Friday, along with a major gap into that strong trend. Now, when we look across those same names, we see that the opposite effect did take place. Financials didn't necessarily give up all of its gains, but ultimately did not have a strong period on Friday. We saw a little bit of selling. We also saw that the sectors that like to perform during a strong bond market, something like technology, were starting to bounce. Now, of course, you can argue that this did occur prior, and ultimately we're still concerned about volume in all of these names as the general volume in the marketplace has been rather lackluster. But we did see technology return to form, and the bond market certainly helped with that. This also led to some interesting bounce structure inside of the Qs. The idea that the Qs were sort of on that tipping point of potentially breaking down. And this was actually on Thursday's session where the bonds were more indecisive. Um, with the NASDAQ, a lot of key stocks, along with the overall index itself, was on the verge of maybe seeing some stronger selling, but ultimately the sellers were short term in nature. We saw a pretty significant inflection at the trend line, and that inflection so far has held quite well, seeing the follow through on the shorter time frame and ultimately bouncing off the 20, which continues to be this short-term trending support. We're seeing lots of tests of this area, not necessarily the follow through that you would expect. Oftentimes you want to see a pretty significant move away, something like this. But so far, holding this area and not necessarily breaking down nor breaking out, which is a little bit of a indication of how I would say non-performant or maybe non-convinced a lot of this buying seems to be with the low volume profile. So, as always, we want to be carrying this bond narrative forward inside of our trade. Excuse me. Because ultimately, if you're a short-term trader, these shifts in momentum inside of the bond market can easily lead to very significant day trading setups. On Thursday and Friday session, a lot of the internal moderators for BBT, some of them were actually scouting some shorts inside of tech stocks. And when we were seeing this turnaround, we immediately started to shift our perspective back to long. And that led to some significant gains in stocks that are starting to look, once again, a little bit more performant. We're seeing the likes of Apple finally getting out of this sort of pennant structure. You can see a lot of consolidative price action here and starting to expand that range a little bit. We also had Microsoft, not necessarily the most short in terms of its daily, but ultimately picking up off the 20 and then 2 days to the upside, leading to a new all-time high. Once again, tech starting to catch a bit. So this dynamic of if it's not financials, it returns to tech. If it's not tech, sometimes it's financials. Everything tends to lean on whether or not the bonds are performing. So this constant battle of back and forth, who's in charge and how long will they stay in charge? Are some of these reactions more impulsive or are they more corrective in some form of a back test? Those are questions that we still want to keep in our mind, but short term, be watching these charts. Always check sort of in your rear view mirrors to see, should I be trading tech? And if so, what direction is the bond market telling me to trade it in? Should I be trading financials because of the bond market selling off? Should I be looking at other industries or sectors, which, like the financials, did have some performance during last week's session, albeit a bit more muted and ultimately a bit laggard in the response of the bond sell-off. So the likes of materials, industrials, and energy being probably the most laggard of the three. With energy, we also want to just double check that our main commodity price is performing. And with crude, I think we're still in this period of a bit of indecisive movement against a larger uptrend. So we're noting that the crude market has been putting in some potential reversal signals. We saw the major weekly inflection at this notable 77 per barrel. We know that that's a major high point in this market and ultimately an inflection point over the period of multiple years. That topping action led to major sell-off with things like the OPEC catalyst that continues to be in our headlines and in our purview. We're seeing this double bottom, but ultimately the response so far has been rather weak. So can this double bottom once again resolve to the downside, leading to additional selling and ultimately looking for deeper downside targets? If that's the case, then once again, with energy, we don't necessarily want to be looking at that one as the performer inside of a more inflationary based trade. The idea of economic recovery, or the idea that in a strong market, you would expect energy to perform in tandem or highly correlated to the overall marketplace. So, as with different types of analysis, knowing which areas to focus on can be just as important as knowing what areas not to focus on. We ultimately want to give this one more time to either stabilize or ultimately look to potentially short if we are starting to lose something like these double bottom uh, tests candles. And finally, from last week, we should be talking about the dollar. Um, with the dollar index, once again, the volatility in this marketplace is relatively high, and additionally, it tends to be quick to turn. So ultimately, we're seeing smaller overall ranges that are having higher responses and quicker turnaround points than in previous history. For example, whenever the dollar reached this inflection point, we did not see the same sort of response coming back to this previous quote unquote demand zone. The dollar simply continued on its trend. We saw a very muted indecision leading to more selling. And even these larger bounces, we could see that the trend line, the 20 period, just sort of held. So ultimately, there wasn't much concern for the dollar sell off here, as this marketplace was giving us all the signals for a downtrend. It kept everything in line and ultimately sort of hooked into the 20 period around this time and continued to respect it on the way down to much lower support. During this time frame, however, we're getting something obviously a bit harder to interpret, along with a bit more sensitive to each of these areas of interest. We know that this upper level is critical, not only because of how many times we've tested it, but ultimately the market's response during these test points. Usually when we see these highs, the market is starting to, or at least beginning to regain momentum back to the upside, either starting to bottom or regain momentum. For context, this high here back in March 30 led to the Qs breaking out of a bullish flag pattern, having a very strong response. The high back over here, 721, testing the same area. We go back to the NASDAQ just to keep the same example. This led to this bottom, which ultimately followed a very aggressive sell-off back to the 20 period. Very strong momentum response from tech stocks. Now, what we have currently is that same tests in the same area, but context is everything, and ultimately repeated testing brings additional concern, not only because we keep returning to this area impulsively, but additionally, these sell-offs are not as deep as they were in the past. We're getting retests of this area from higher support zones, and ultimately we're trapped within a range at the moment. So the dollar continues to be one of, I would say, short-term concern, with the understanding that if we ever break through these levels, the market's response may be a bit I would say, reactive, a bit impulsive, and in what direction, given that this is a buy point for the marketplace, if we ever break through, that could be a sell point for the market as well, leading to a much sharper downside move. Obviously, we have not gotten that yet. That continues to be the theme. A lot of this is building a case for if certain things do happen in this market. So far, this test has completed in the way we would expect. We lost a rising wedge. We fell down to a previous support zone. We back tested from below. And so far, the downside is continuing. But larger context remains we are in a trend. We are trapped between two price levels, and ultimately, either one could break out. Until then, we need to be prepared for either scenario. And one of the reasons why I'll bring up the dollar is because we have a marketplace that is once again active and in a lot of people's purview. And that is, of course, the crypto market. So with the dollar, the weakness that we're seeing currently, along with the, I would say, resistance zone of about 93.5, that is ultimately something to be prepared for if we ever break out. But if we don't, and if the dollar continues to be weak, the crypto market does appear to be a place that money is flowing into. Now, with the crypto market, there are some patterns and some cycles that can be important for you to understand as both a trader or even an investor in this space. Oftentimes, with the recent history that we saw with the sell-off in Bitcoin, a lot of altcoins are not going to perform very well in that environment. Bitcoin tends to be more of the overall gauge of health in this marketplace. And if Bitcoin is not strong, it is rare to find altcoins who are outperforming. Ultimately, you can have some that have sold off less. You can have some that have maybe larger impulsive bounces from the downtrend. But in the larger context, you will not often see an altcoin perform very well if Bitcoin is downtrending. And that was certainly the case when we were trapped within this zone, which of course, as people were able to analyze and review these levels, we had approximately the 30K to about 42K range. The low of the sell-off and the first automatic reaction from low to high, setting up the levels of this range. Now, things have, of course, changed. We are seeing that Bitcoin continued to hold 30K, albeit there were a few tests that brought concern to the downside. And we saw things like the miner stocks, which at the time were acting as maybe a little bit of a leading indicator on whether or not some of those bounces would actually hold. What I liked about it was they often occurred about a day prior to a 30K test. So for example, something like Riot on 6.8 and on 6.22, the two low points of a very short-term sort of corrective trend. Draw this trend line here just to show these two candles, 6.8 and 6.22. We can see in something like Bitcoin that that was the same day or the following day of the response for the bounces. That can also be seen if we pull over just the actual Bitcoin USD chart, something like 6.8, January 8th, and 6.22. These are the responses at the lows, and that was subsequently preceded by strong bounce days in some of these minor stocks. Now, With that, and we'll come back to that shortly, that obviously led to this much deeper sell-off, losing the short-term trend and ultimately losing the upper channel, which was only formed by these top two test candles. You can sort of extend that out, and price was reacting in this channel. We did lose that, and that set up once again another 30K test in Bitcoin. Now, this is the one that, of course, a lot of people were concerned with because one, we had tested that level a few times prior, and two, we were coming from a period of weakness. The miners were not very strong. They were losing most of the semblance of support. And ultimately, there was the preparation for if this broke down, what were some downside targets. But as we all know, that did not occur. We did see a third reaction point here and a very strong recovery, leading to, of course, the new trend that is part of the crypto market at this time. Man, got when you have a cough, sometimes it is pretty challenging to clear. Give me 1 second. Throw in a lozenge. We'll see if that helps. But um, with this sort of historical analysis, now we are looking at a new type of marketplace. We are seeing a different pattern and ultimately a different structure as we've one broken out of the range, two we've broken out of any sort of head and shoulder trend line, which as I click, it looks like all my levels are coming back. Hide those. It looks like they just come back if I click a new one. Well, you can see this blue line here, sort of setting up the head and shoulder distribution pattern, a test on this bounce point right here, and then a large breach with high volume. Hopefully some of these levels are not too challenging to see the price action, but you can see this candle here responding at this trend line. And of course, the structure in the distribution pattern was one of weakness. Coming out of the range, we of course have the volume to show the type of strength to get us out of the range. So we're clearing this area. We're starting to get momentum back into the space. And as we talk about cycles, we need to be aware of how far we've come so far in Bitcoin, along with just keeping our mindset in, I would say, a rational and ultimately structured way. It can be easy to zoom in and look at this chart and say, wow, what a strong uptrend. We had a really nice reaction here. We're buying each and every pullback so far. Things are looking great. But we are not at all-time highs. We are coming into a zone that this marketplace has respected to the point where we had almost a 50% correction from some of these levels. So to appreciate the bounce is, of course, great as a bull. To trade these reactions is, of course, excellent because we're seeing momentum return to this market. But putting on your technical analysis hat and ultimately looking at the larger time frames to begin, we are right at monthly resistance. This indecision candle here, that wasn't, of course, a straight line because I had the wrong tool. 47,000 is relevant. We need to respect that this marketplace ultimately had a monthly indecision candle that broke bearish and led to a sharp correction. So as we start to rebuild from this marketplace and build new ranges for us to analyze, always keep in mind of your mirrors, keep in mind the larger time frames, and check back to see, are we at key points in the marketplace? Another sort of pause for concern inside of Bitcoin is what we discussed in the miners. If you look at Riot over the past couple of sessions, we're getting additional selling pressure. Context here is, of course, important. We do have earnings coming up for Riot, but if the Bitcoin market is so strong, then why is Riot starting to sell into its earnings? Same thing with Mara. Mara has already passed its earnings. Those occurred last week, and yet the response so far has been one of relative weakness. So if Bitcoin is to clear 47,000 on strength, we ultimately would like to see the miner stocks also somewhat have the same structure and lead that breakout. We want to see additional strength return into these stocks in the same way that they somewhat correlated with the 30K bounces on 6.8 and 6.22. And ultimately, the most important bounce at 7.20, leading to the strong gaps into the momentum moves that we're seeing currently. Finally, last and not least, with cycles in the crypto marketplace, a lot of these coins are often going to be somewhat labeled in terms of whether they are leading in the altcoin space or lagging. And the argument here is more subjective than anything. Everybody has some of their favorite projects. Some are better than others. Obviously, the market is rewarding some of these coins differently. And as with anything, the more risky something is, often the more it performs during bullish periods. So it's not necessarily that the strongest performer is fundamentally or even speculatively the best option. It is simply one with the highest risk. So with these cycles, as we see Bitcoin into monthly resistance at 47,000, we see a little bit of pause so far over the past couple sessions, really just a little bit of oscillation around this price level. We also want to look and see what the other marketplaces are doing. For example, always starting off with one of the most well-known alts and starting to look at Ethereum. Are we in the same spot? If we pull up a monthly, we can see that the monthly structure is much different. Of course, the indecision here is much larger, so we can't really pull up levels from a monthly perspective. But what we can do is look at the weekly, and we see that same indecision candle and the same low point being tested from an extended move. So ultimately, it's not about necessarily just where we are, but what's the context of how we got here. This is a bit extended. This marketplace may simply need to pull back deeper than most people anticipate in order to have the energy to break through this level. What are some of the other altcoins doing during this time? The ones with higher market caps. You want to be thinking some of the names with some of the largest market caps, like ADA, which, as we can see, broke out from the $2 price level and ultimately is starting to have that same bit of just consolidative, if not slowing, of momentum coming into these weekly resistance points. And obviously every chart's going to be a little different. You'll have to find levels based on the time frame that displays them. What are some of the laggard coins doing? The ones that ultimately had weak responses during Bitcoin's bounce, not necessarily clearing the trading range. You could argue that ADA is a laggard, but we're seeing money flow into these laggard names. Something like, wrong chart, something like Doge. No matter what your opinion is, Doge is a laggard altcoin. Ultimately, Doge had a much deeper sell-off during the Bitcoin crash of 2021. The trading range was broken down. We had daily closures below the sell-off lows. We ultimately lost this area and we continued much lower. And so far, even though our current response is one of strength right now, we're seeing money flow into these names. This is a laggard coin. So the cycle here is one of having your leader respond in the direction of whatever new trend is forming, having stronger altcoins respond in tandem, maybe a bit more volatile, maybe a bit better performing from low to high. And then, of course, having your laggard coins follow last. Ultimately, seeing this momentum return later in that cycle and the response from the bounce point being much more muted. So, if that's the case, and we start to see a lot of this marketplace pull back from notable resistance points, just keep in mind which coins you're trading, which ones you're focused on, and ultimately look for the right cycle to set it up again. Usually it's going to start with something like Bitcoin or one of the leading alts. That dominance will show, and then that money flow should cycle into other coins. If it does not occur that way, this might be some stronger resistance than we anticipate, and ultimately the pullback can be much deeper than most people might be prepared for. So keep all that in mind. Know what the miners are doing because they are pretty heavily correlated. And obviously, we'll see what this marketplace has to give with the understanding that the dollar is going to be probably the catalyst that sparks whatever the next move is going to be. So with all that said, I'm Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It's Monday. Let's go into the marketplace strong. Let's trade safe this week. Stay tuned for pre-market prep with Carlos and believe Peter this time. We got a little change of schedule this time around, but we should have some exciting new information coming out this week for everyone to enjoy. So trade safe, and we'll talk tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Carlos. I am wonderful. How was your weekend?
Weekend was great, man. Weekend was really, really good. Yeah, had a great time, man. Had a great time with the family. Did a couple of things. Hope you did as well. And hope everyone here watching in our chat room and also on YouTube had an amazing one too. So Let's get to it, guys. Another week of trading, starting with our gap up this morning. Let's just take a quick look at that. And you can see here, not so much in the green, but a whole lot in the red today. So we'll see what's happening there. Also, Jared did an amazing job of kind of giving us an update of the overall market. So let's make sure we give him a thumbs up for that over on YouTube for his engineering the markets every morning, Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. So yeah, we got a little bit on here, guys. Some of the stuff I was looking at Neo before this. I see some of the EV vehicles are taking a bit of a hit this morning, so we'll see what's happening there. And we got a couple of stocks like Wish, CCL, and the travel companies here taking a little bit hit as well. Baba, Hood, of course, which is almost impossible to trade, is on here. So we'll go through these and see what we can find this morning. Before we jump in here, Peter, do you have any update on the overall market? And again, don't look at those U.S. economic calendar there. That is Norm's baby, and he is on vacation this week, spending some time with his son before he goes to school. So that was not updated. So
Yeah, so like you mentioned, there's probably three themes I'm seeing this morning. One is certainly weakness in the EV sector. As a related theme, we're also seeing continued weakness with the Chinese stocks as the political climate in China continues to affect it. And then we're seeing some weakness on the travel sector, specifically with the cruise lines. As they are, reports of people having positive COVID tests on cruise ships, which is frankly inevitable, but it's having a drag on the stock, which is what we care about for this morning. Overall in the markets, as you mentioned, not a lot of economic activity. We're coming out of the earnings season, and things have slowed down. There's Empire State jobless claims, I think, which is coming out at right about now. But that's not going to have a material impact on the market. So no other economic announcements for today.
all right, excellent, guys. So let's get right to it, guys. Let's jump into our gappers list this morning. We'll go ahead and remove this from here, Friday's watch list, and let's look at what's gapping up this morning. TBTX today, 59 million shares flow. They're sitting with a gap up of 20% this morning. Pre-market action is not looking all that great right now. Hopefully, it can get better. Looking at the stock overall, their daily here is just not good at all. I mean, barely any volume. All these days here, guys, all under 1 million. Looks like to be only 600,000 and change. So very, very light volume. Typically not a stock that trades very well. This is Travere Therapeutics. So again, I don't have a lot of hopes on this one, guys, to be honest. I'm not going to put it on my list. If it does get better, you start seeing some good action, maybe we'll add it on here. Again, I like the pop. I like the volume. You know what? Possible, maybe. Possible. Let's do that for it. Let's see if it can do something. But again, everything else around this does not look all that promising. Here's an ENLV. And Peter, as you know, if you see anything hot as far as news, cut me off and then we can go over that. ENLV this morning, 12 million shares flow. This one is up 18%, 864,000 shares traded right now. So they are pretty nice this morning. The last couple of days, we've seen definitely an increase in their regular volume. You can see how nice this has been trading on the daily, or at least decent. Typically not a stock that we keep on deck, but again, this pop-up is good this morning. We've got some volume on here. Might be worth taking a second look at. It's lost a lot of it already.
Yeah, these two are both on some drug trial news. So TVTX had some phase 3 trial information, and then the ENLV, which is a lower float, had a positive. So they it's funny. I think it was in Israel. They were authorized to go to a phase 2B trial. So that's going to have limited impact, in my opinion. You're right, Carlos. If you look at it, it's already starting to lose some of the ground it had from the early pop-up. So I probably will not be watching it.
Yeah. And I kind of forgot a little bit that it was a low flow because I started putting it in here. And as I noticed it was a low flow, I put it down here. Now my perspective is changing a little bit because, again, for a low flow stock, you need to have aggressive volume. And we're not seeing that for 12 million shares flow. So I still put it on here, but most likely it's not going to survive our watch list this morning.
Now,
CA,
speaking of low
yeah.
floats, though, I know that I'm filling in for Norm, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to try and find a low float that I'm going to trade this morning
Yes.
and be done my day by the time we're done the show. I'm not sure I can live up to that because that's a Norm special, not really my specialty.
You definitely have some big shoes to fill when it comes to low flow king there. We call him the low flow sniper. I think it's one of the better nicknames because his entries are just incredible. But notice how selective he is. He's not just swinging at everything. He's very selective on stuff he gets in. And that's how you need to trade low floats. Nathan, thank you very much for the super chat donation there. $5 bomb. Appreciate that very, very much. Guys, I know over in chat, you guys are waiting for that link so we can start donating within the community. That is going to be done very soon. We have our back end team, working on that to get us a link that we can all donate to hit our $5,000 goal as for donations, and then another 5,000 matched by Andrew. So we want to get to 10,000 this month and be able to donate that amount. That'd be great to do that. So thank you, Nathan, always for the continued support every single day here. Appreciate you very much. Here, next we have CVAC pre-market action, only 102,000 shares traded, so not a whole lot of volume right now. It is up 10%. That is nice. Outside of that, I'm not seeing anything great. I think the volume and liquidity on this one could be an issue. So I'm not going to add it to my list. Heading down, we have Sono. Sono does not trade very well, guys. You got to be careful with this one. We've seen it on our list before. It can be very choppy. I do like this gap up here. We do have shares for short, and I would love to short this thing. But again, it's just, you have to be careful with it because it could be brutal at times. I think it is in play. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is in play, Carlos, and we've seen over the last couple of days Sonos start to move. The news last week, if people recall, was that they had this patent fight, I guess, with Google, and over the weekend it was announced that they sort of had a win in that patent move. So obviously that's big news for them. It's not going to be a drag on Google because for them it's a small part of their business compared to the size of Sonos business. But we'll see. That might actually create some interest and keep that volume high today. So like you sort of said, if the volume picks up, to me that would be the key on Sono. When I say picks up, I mean we have to see it at least the level. See how Carlos is pointing that out, sort of the level of the high there. If we're not seeing sort of 10 million shares, which would mean sort of a couple million by the time the market's open at 9:30, I probably would just be avoiding this as well.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So we'll see. We'll put it here for now as our watch list. Let's see how this turns out there. Has a nice gap this morning in pre-market action. Is looking okay. Here's a HUD. HUD doesn't trade very well. We've seen this quite a bit here in our gapping up and down list. I do not like the way this thing trades at all. I think it's very choppy. I think the volume is an issue at times. Pre-market right now, I'm not seeing anything great. They're up 4.7. But I hope we can find something a little bit better than this. Two low floats coming up, BTBT, which is 15 million. Again, this is Bitcoin. If you want to trade Bitcoin, usually I go with Mara or even Riot at times. I know they've been very, very active the last couple of weeks. You can see here an increase in not much in volume, but it's more in direction, right? Kind of picking a direction here. Getting a little top at 36 and kind of our friend Jerry spoke up a lot about Bitcoin earlier this morning, so you kind of got an idea of what's going on there. But yeah, I think they're really in play. I'm probably gonna watch just one, maybe Mara. I know they're not showing on this list right now, but I think Mara is one of the better trading Bitcoin stocks. And then we also have another low flow SPRT at 10 million. This thing was very active last week too. Right now, pre-market action is only up 4%. And again, for the low flow that we're seeing here, it definitely needs to get a whole lot more volume. Right now, only 209. Looks like it's trying to break out from the highs. Maybe that can bring more volume. If we can break out of here, that can attract a more volume to this stock. We'll put it on here, SPRT, and we'll see how this thing goes in the next couple of minutes. All right, gapping down, we have a whole lot, starting with SLI. This one, we've seen this quite a bit in the past. I don't like the way it trades, guys. I think it's very, very choppy, sitting on the American Stock Exchange. So we'll skip on that one. Also, volume at the moment still a little bit light, only 130. We need to see a little bit more, hopefully. Here's NEO. NEO and the EVs are definitely in play. So I'm going to be watching NEO. I know Tesla looks good as well. NEO is down 4.5, and you can see the nice volume already this morning of 2.2 million shares traded. So that's amazing volume, only at 844 this morning. So we'll add NEO on here. That is good to go. Tesla, guys, is also in play. If you look at that one, if you like Tesla, they are down also 1.6. Not a great daily as you see on NEO. I think NEO looks slightly better because you have this beautiful drop here over the last couple of days, getting to an area of support. So this looks a lot cleaner than Tesla does, right? It's been making bigger moves. Tesla is just kind of stuck within this consolidation between what seems to be 720, the outer ring of that, and the bottom one at exactly at 700 on the dot. So we're just kind of bouncing around here, but definitely down a bit this morning. I think these stocks are all in play. But I'll go with NEO today. You can look at XPEV as well. I see XPEV already on here. Also, I see Lee's already on here. Again, I think NEO just has a beautiful daily. Lee's also looking pretty decent. So I'll go with NEO and a secondary maybe XPEV. So just keep an eye on both of these. See how that goes today. All right.
There's
We also yeah.
Sorry, on the EVs, you're right. We're seeing a lot of them in the list this morning, and there's a lot of conflicting news out there. So if you're trading EVs, I would expect it to be choppy, which could provide opportunity, right? It means it could be some great moves if the moves are big enough and they provide signals you can trade against. But if you just look at it from a news front, we've got Tesla that's opening their gigafactory in China, but at the same time their sales are down like 60% or something. Like it was huge, but the expectations then are sky high on NEO and Lee and XPEV as they're expected to pick up the slack. But then we've got the backdrop of the Chinese regulation and what the government's currently doing with their private and their listed companies. We've also got some dual listings happening with a couple of these companies being recently listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So, all of that means that there's going to be different opinions as to what's going to happen and different people positioning in different places. So just expect, I think, some choppiness. Again, I'm going to keep an eye on NEO and probably Tesla myself, just in case that provides opportunity. But I won't be shy to just back off and say, you know what, it's just too uncertain if I see that in the price action.
Yeah, agree 100%, guys. So just again, wait for that setup. And if it's choppy at the open, give it time. Sometimes, as you mentioned, 15, 20 minutes, even an hour later, things can settle down and give you great opportunities. Here is Wish. Now, Wish it dropped down last week, right? On Friday. We saw that it did try to push up here, was very active, insane volume. Price action was a little bit funky. It wasn't as great at some points, but today they are down at 3.8, 953,000. Their pre-market action doesn't look any better than most of these other stocks on here. Again, I don't see a whole lot. Just the volume is there. I do like the fact that we're dropping down here. Usually the second day after a drop here, after such a gap, it can be very choppy, guys, as people figure out, okay, are we staying here? Are we going to try to close this gap? Or are we going to go lower, right? It creates a lot of chop. So I think it can be a good possible because you're going to have some volume pushing through to this. I don't think it's going to be a great one right out of the gates, though. I think it's going to have to settle down and see, okay, where do we go from here after dropping quite a bit last week, right? So
the bad news continues with Wish. Last week they had very disappointing earnings. This morning, the Bank of America, a very influential analyst, sort of downgraded Wish, which is causing, I think, some of the drag. And Carlos, I don't know if you can call up a 1-minute chart, but guys, Wish is a good example of why, like Carlos was just saying, you need to be careful. Look at what the price action actually looks like when you narrow in. This tells me that downgrade really just triggered a bunch of algorithmic trading. So this is computers trading. When you see candles that look like this, they're 1 penny tall and sort of very consistent like that, right? It almost, I don't know, looks computer generated. It is computer generated. So just be careful. That means it's not retail traded, which means your signals may be tough to trade. Just like Carlos is saying, this could be a tough trade. So be careful. Yeah.
And look at this, guys. And again, it looks like it's one share being traded. You come down here, there's 28,000 shares being traded like this, right?
Right.
Another 14, 15. That is not us. That is computers, as Peter mentioned there. All right, let's head down to XPEC. We do have already. So again, to kind of cover all the EV stuff, we're not going to go through every single one of them. Here's Billy this morning. They are down 3.6 today. Pre-market action is not looking great. Very light volume. I do like this drop, though. Again, we continue to lose these support areas. So that could be interesting. We do have shares for short. I'm going to put it as a paso for now. Let's do that on Billy. Volume is a little bit lighter than what I would like, but let's see if that can change. LI, we spoke about another EV company here. Tao is, it's ED education company over in China that's always having issues, and I just don't like the way this thing trades. Futu this morning, they are also down 2.9. Again, not a great pre-market action, very light volume. Oxy this morning, Oxy does look interesting. We are losing this area of support here right now in the pre-market. We are down 2.8. Volume for Oxy usually is not great all the time. 128 right now. This could be interesting. I like Oxy today. Let's see. Put that on there. And then we have the travel company, guys. We talked a little bit about this. NCLH, CCL. They all have okay volume. We've seen a lot more volume than this from both of these in the past in the pre-market around this time, 850. So I think I'm just gonna watch CCL to see if anything sparks up today with all that's going on that we mentioned earlier on this. So just gonna keep CCL for now. You can look at NCLH and some other ones. You can also probably look at American Airlines. They are down 1.6 with the same amount of volume as well. They're not below 2%. So this is why they're not on our gappers list. But that's usually a good indicator of the airlines, American Airlines. You can watch this one to see if anything's going to be affecting that travel sector after the market open. Again, I don't see anything great right now, but again, it's a lot going on in that field. All right, we'll stop here, guys. Oh, wait, one more. X, because I know X has been very, very active all last week. This week, they're down 2.2 right now, 113,000. Could be a good possible because I know their pre-market action tends to be very, very light, and they can go on a nice run after the market opens. So we'll see what happens there. Peter, anything you like on your end this morning?
I'm just watching my old standbys. So for those of you who know me, you can guess already. That'll be AMD
Yes.
and Apple. So I'll keep an eye on those because they tend to be consistently good movers. But so far, I'm not seeing a lot, that's standing out as a gapper this morning that tells me I've really got to jump in. So I'll be taking a little cautious, I think, at the open. I've been trying to actually back myself off of the open trading because that's not my expertise. Excuse me. And I found that I'm not, I tend to lose money and then have to make it back the rest of the day. So why not just start at the point at which I make money?
Right.
Which,
absolutely.
as much as we all want to have that one trade right off the open and be done, but frankly, that doesn't fit all of our strategies. So for me, it's going to be a slow day watching, again, my tech sector favorites.
Absolutely. And again, something that's not easy to do. We all know. AMD here, guys, looking very good. It broke out Friday, actually. We forgot to mention that. So it's finally breaking out of this base that it built here around 106. AMD is definitely worth putting on here. And I think Apple's a good one. Apple had a great day, great week last week and towards the end there. So Apple could be a good possible as well. All right, let's take it to the room, guys. Over here, let's start with Charles. AMD we do have, so that's good. Raf Silla, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. You're giving us FM. What is FM? No, I don't. There's not a whole lot of volume on this. Sitting on the American Stock Exchange, very, 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 very light volume, guys. Overall, the daily's just. I know how many times I said very there, but it's just very, very nasty here. So again, the volume is just not good on this one, guys, at all. All right, what else we have? AMD, good. Yeah, AMD is good. We have that one. Heading on down, David from Connecticut is giving us Baba. Let's take a look at Baba this morning. Yes, this is in play as well, guys. Down 2.2. Again, very, very similar to Neo's daily. Not as clean. That's okay. Baba tends to trade a little bit, less clean than some other stocks, but very similar. Again, we got this drop here that happened a few weeks ago, and we're kind of nearing that again now. So, I think Baba, for those that like to trade Baba, it is in play. Definitely add that on there. AJ420, you're giving us MU. Daily looks interesting. Let's see. We had this downgrade on MU, which the downgrade was to $75, if I remember correctly, last week by Morgan Stanley, which is, when you get those banks, that's significant. When you see other banks you never heard of, those downgrades and upgrades usually don't hold a lot of weight. Not saying they don't do anything. They just don't hold a lot of weight like the big guys. So big drop, but their target is 75 and they're hanging around here under 71, which again, interesting how that is. I think MU has an interesting daily. I don't know if today is going to be the day where they do something. We just might chop around and hang out here until we decide to break out of this tight range that we have here and kind of the bigger can that we did on Thursday. So I'm not going to add it to my list, guys, but we know MU, if that thing does start hitting the scanners, we can definitely take a look at it. I saw a couple of people throw out NUE. Let's see, even Barge guy there, NUE. Let's see what's going on with NUE. NUE. There's some stocks you can tell that if you trade this, you can possibly lose money. And this is one that my senses are telling me this is one that's very difficult to trade just based on the price and the way you're seeing this price action here in the pre-market. The way these candles are moving from 118, from 108 to 118, with only 8 million shares traded. That's different. It's different. Let's put it that way. It's not bad. It's just different to trade. And if you look at this action, let's go back to some of the action in the intraday here. If you look at this, you see these candles the way they're forming. You could tell how light the price action, the flow is on here. So that makes it more difficult to trade with the way we trade. The pullbacks can be very aggressive. The spread is not going to be nice. Be careful with this one, guys. For me, this is not a stock that I would put on my list. Again, it doesn't have some of the criteria that I'm looking for in that one. So again, be very careful. I see a lot of you guys throwing that one out there. Careful with how you manage your risk on that one.
Speaking of being cautious, I see on YouTube a couple of people were mentioning SPRT. This is one that we were watching Friday. I think a couple people in the room, maybe even Andrew, had traded this. I got to say, I almost had night terrors of this one because I was watching it Friday morning, trying to take it, and it's one that it was looking great. It would pop up and then sort of drop really fast. If you look at the open on Friday, it was quite active, but I found it extremely difficult to trade. I personally just couldn't read it. So if you're looking at it again today, I don't see any specific news on it, but I would say just be really careful because those drops were pretty violent. Like it spiked up to almost $11, and before you know it, right, it was down back at $10. Like Carlos said, it's attractive because it's low priced. You think you can take a bunch. All you need is a little pop and it'll do good. But if it drops 40 or 50 cents on you, that may not be that could ruin your account. So.
Yeah, I always tell people you could be right? You could be right in the move, but if that pullback puts you in a very tough situation, you could be getting stopped out every time before the move actually happens, and that's why these stocks are sometimes more difficult to trade. And again, guys, don't get me wrong, Andrew makes this look very easy, but he has a lot of experience under his belt. If you don't have that experience yet, if you're not that fast when it comes to executing your trades, that's okay. You're going to get better, but this is not the stock you want to practice on. You want to be very careful with this one. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's take a look over on YouTube. What do we have? We have Jason. Let's start there. SESN. I don't think this is a good one. Just a ticker. Remember, this could be a bad. What's the company here? I think this is difficult to trade. Sensen Vio. Yeah, so again, it's not a penny stock, but it's very lower price stock. We've seen this on our gap list before. I never kept it on. And the few times that I kept it on, I went back to look at it. I'm glad I didn't. There was nothing that I said, okay, I could have had an opportunity there. I never seen that from this one. So I'm going to continue to keep it off my list here, guys. Again, they got amazing volume, 11 million. They're down 36%. But under this price tag here, around 130 is usually not something that I'm really good at. So I'm going to stay away from that one. Be careful if you do trade that one. PSFE, what do we have going on here? Also another one that doesn't look great. It looks very algo-like, very choppy daily here. 1.3 million shares traded, but look at this 1.3 million. This does not look good at all there. So just be careful with that one. We'll take a look at a few more. Space this morning, very choppy pre-market action. Looks like it's starting to get a little bit better here after 8:20 or so. You're starting to get more volume. You're starting to get a trend. And man, these guys have been beat up pretty bad. I want to keep an eye on them just because how much they've been beat up the last couple of days. I want to see if that's going to continue. They're down 0.5% this morning, so not so bad as the last couple of days. But every day besides Friday they were able to just maintain a green day here after a huge gap down. Has been horrible. So we'll see if they're finding a base, if they're going to continue on this downtrend that they have. All right, guys, we have to stop here. It's 8:58. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, one last one. I just saw someone mention that actually looks interesting. If you sort of like that low float end, NAOV, almost 8 million shares traded so far this morning. They've announced a new ultrasound device that you can sort of sold over the counter that you can use at home. Obviously, we're seeing some action. It's only a $3 stock, so you got to be very careful with it, but certainly the volume is there. I don't like the direction it's going right now, but this could be one that, again, if you're familiar trading these, it might provide some opportunity today.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I remember Andrew trading this last time, or Brian, I forgot who it was, but they actually did pretty well. So again, just be careful. Add it on here, guys. Great volume, great pop this morning. Looking very, very nice. All right, guys, let's get to our community announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list.
Okay, well, guys, as always, we have another exciting week of activity here in the Bear Bull Traders community. Always have stuff going on. Today, we start the day, obviously, with our pre-market show that Carlos and I are doing right now. And then we swing into a full day of trading to end with more swinging with Brian doing his sort of overall market review and some of the longer-term trades he likes to take. He gives you some good perspective on that. And usually people have a whole list of stocks they want him to take a look at that he can provide some output on. So that'll be sort of as we head towards the close, sometime after 2:30 today. Tuesdays are always our success webinars. We will do those at 8 p.m. And during the day in the market at noon, Eamon does his trade review. So this is where our users submit trades that they've done over the last day or two. He provides some analysis and provides insights. So that's Tuesdays and Thursdays with Eamon. Wednesday is always our psychology webinar day. So at 8 p.m. we will have another psychology webinar. And Thursday is a busy one where we do a lot of our mentoring sessions. So Andrew gives a mentoring session. Andrew's traveling this week and is in Alaska with some of our members up there. But he's going to be here for most of the week, and we're expecting him to do his mentoring session during the day with Thor rounding out that evening with his 8 p.m. Thursday mentorship, as he does. And then finally on Fridays, we've got our crypto mentorship with Jared. So that's always something that people look forward to, especially if you're focused on the crypto markets. And that's a focus session, by the way, in addition to the stuff that Jared does every morning, Monday to Thursday, on his Engineering the Markets session. All right, so specifically then, let's take a look at our Tuesday webinars. This Tuesday, we're going to be doing a session on Bookmap. Bookmap is a tool that many people have started using in the room. Helps show you where pockets of volume and interest are in a stock. And Kyle is going to be taking us through how to use Bookmap in your trading, how you can use it to better understand where the market, a specific stock may be going, and how you can leverage that to make better trades. Next week, actually, this is in 2 weeks, then we have tape reading 101 with Thor. Thor's going to be back. It's always very popular when he does his tape reading type sessions and his volume analysis. So he's going to talk about how to use the tape to understand when you want to target taking a trade. Carlos, do we have anything on the week in between? I'm missing a week in there.
Yeah, we do probably post it today.
All right, so we'll let you guys know what's going to be happening next week. So, but as you can see, we have things lined up throughout the month. Wednesday, like I mentioned, is always our Psychology Wednesday, as well as today is Mindful Monday, but we'll get to that in a second. But this Wednesday, we will have Mike talking about Module 3 and discipline in trading and how you need to manage your discipline along with your psychology to be able to deliver trading results. So that's again at 8 o'clock this coming Wednesday, August the 18th. And then next week, the famous, the one and only, the Dr. Jonathan Katz will be doing his town hall, which we had to reschedule from a couple weeks ago, but looking forward to that. We'll have a couple of traders from the community having a conversation about how they can improve their approach in the market. And Dr. Katz always does a great job of leading them through some thoughtful questions to help them improve their trading, and which we can all learn from. Like we do every week, we always have special activities that are going on, like the trade of the day, the trade of the week, and in the YouTube channel, since we have so many of you that started giving us these super chats, we did not want to keep the money. So as an organization, we made the decision, let's donate all of the super chat money that gets provided to us to a charity, a different charity every month. And we're very proud to be able to do that. And Andrew stepped up and without hesitation said he was going to match all donations. So it'll be twice the amount of what's donated given to a chosen charity. I was very happy that in the month of July, we were able to make a donation to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is fantastic. You can see the super chats there of $259, which Andrew matched. And in August, we are already well above that target. As Carlos mentioned, we're looking to try and donate as much as possible. Let's make Andrew open that wallet book, that pocketbook, and match a big donation amount. So if you make a super chat, know it's going to a great cause, and we hugely appreciate it. If you want to participate as a member of Bear Bull Traders in the member trade of the day, all you have to do is submit it in Twitter to Mike and Norm. Obviously, Mike will be the primary person reviewing it, with Norm on vacation this week. Use those hashtags listed there so that we can identify it as a trade that you want us to look at, and tag Mike, Bear Bull Traders, and Norm, and we will find it and include you in the running for trade of the day. One of those trades of the day then gets chosen for trade of the week, which Mike will share with us today or this afternoon in the trade room. And then we will post later on Twitter as well. And you get bragging rights for all eternity if you get chosen as trade of the week. Hopefully, you'll want to consider joining us. We love having new members. Every Monday, we have a lot of new members. In fact, do we have any new members here that we say hi to? If you're new in the room, just drop us a little chat. Yes, Jason, all of eternity, you get bragging rights if you win trade of the week. So I see Evan and Christy. They're both very new. Oh, here we go. Joe L. and Trader Shane, Nantha, Zach, John in Vale, Ten Girl, Jeff. I mean, so many. I can't even keep up here. Well, thank you all for joining the community. It's fantastic to see you all here. And if you're on YouTube and you're thinking about it, you know what? Why not give it a shot? For only $24, you can join us for a week. Use the code PREMARKET24, and you get a full week of live trading in the room. Just see if it's for you. We acknowledge not all communities are for all people, but we like to create a very inclusive community. It's very helpful. I think you'll find a lot of value. So just consider joining us. See what it's like. You can see what it's like trading with us for however long you're in the markets each day. And if you love that, then use our discount code of SUMMER40 to get 40% off our annual Elite membership, which gives you access to all of our training material, all our psychology webinars, and allows you to fully access everything that Bear Bull Traders has to offer. With that, it is Mindful Monday, and it's been a while since I've had the opportunity to talk to the handsome, the charming, the intelligent Dr. Jonathan Katz. Did I make you
Peter,
blush?
flattery will get you everywhere. And although I've referred to you as a bench player, you are first string in my mind and my heart. So you always know that.
You know what? I appreciate that. And good morning to you. It's great having you.
Good morning to you. Peter, go ahead, my man.
Well, I was just going to say, today I understand you're going to be talking to us about controlling impulsiveness in your trading, which is a core thing. It's funny because it comes up in so many different forms. And I'm sure you'll probably talk to us about that. But I'm interested on your take, and maybe we can then talk a little bit further after. So off you go.
Sure. So basically, over the past few weeks, I've asked Norm and Carlos kind of to get a feel for some of the people in the community. What are some of the topics that they would like me to cover? We did one last week, and this is another one that came up. So impulsive trading, looking at some of the causes and cures, I think is important. So just a few things to mention that might be helpful to provide a little insight and a little kind of tips to help people. There are often personal and situational reasons, why traders make impulsive trades. Some people are impulsive by temperament. Some people tend to be a little overly indulgent, trouble maintaining discipline in a variety of situations. But with that said, even people who tend to be very conscientious, can be impulsive under certain conditions and circumstances. So it's something that can impact everybody, whatever your personality style in trading. And, trading can be boring at times, and waiting is very hard, even for the most patient person. So often there's a strong temptation to do something to reduce that boredom. And some traders overtrade to kill time and get a quick thrill. The most common way traders act impulsively is really by abandoning their trading plan. Once you've outlined a specific plan in terms of, when to enter and exit a trade, it's really important to follow that. But, it's difficult to do. Talk is cheap. Actions are much more difficult. And it seems easy when you devise a plan, but while in the midst of a trade, it can be hard really to stay with it. And at any given point, you may look at the market and think, there's no way my plan can work. If you're an extremely seasoned trader, you may have the experience and judgment to abandon your plan when you see it isn't going to work. But novice traders, in contrast, really tend to abandon their plans prematurely and often regret it later when they find out that they had been able to stick it out a little longer, they would have made a greater profit. So it may be hard, but really novice traders must really fight the impulse to close out a trade prematurely. One of the first steps to gaining impulse control really is to identify the reasons you want to control your impulses. In other words, the downside of abandoning your trading plan. So the most common reason traders desire to stay with their trading plan is really to maximize profits. So following a well-defined trading plan usually ensures profitability overall. And you will have an easier time sticking with your plan if you frequently remind yourself that in the big picture, following your trading plan will allow you to trade more profitably. Many times impulses are difficult to control because of emotional states. When you're guilty, frustrated, or afraid is kind of when you may have the most trouble controlling your impulses. So you need to really identify the emotions that precipitate for you an impulsive move, kind of what these triggers are. And they can be different for every single person. And once identification, in psychology, we often say, insight doesn't necessarily lead to behavior change, but it's hard to change a behavior if you don't have a level of awareness. So one of the things is become aware of what the triggers are for your impulsive trading, and maybe that helps you gain more control, because by self-monitoring your emotions, you can identify how they lead to impulsive decisions, and that could be really helpful. Building up self-control skills really takes practice. So it's crucial, especially for those new people out there, and I know Peter read off a bunch of names of you folks who are new to the BBT community. You can't be disappointed if it doesn't happen overnight. Patience is really important. It's much like when people want to eat more healthy or lose weight. What happens, it's a process. You got to just try to be as disciplined and try it every day. Don't ruminate too much about what happened in the past other than to learn for it. And once you lose control, you have to work to get it back. So you must do it really little by little. It takes time and you may slip, but if you keep at it with time and practice, you will build up your self-control skills and hopefully reduce the negative impacts of impulsivity and impulsive trading. So that's what I got for you today, Peter.
Dr. Katz, one of the things you said really resonated with me, because impulsivity I always associate with making a quick decision without having thought it through. In my case, and I want to get your comment on this, I've found that impulsivity couches itself under the guise of smart decision making, but in the moment. So just like you said, instead of following my plan, I convince myself in the moment, you know what, I will take this trade anyways because my strategy obviously is not working. Let me go do this. And I find it's the same impulsivity that goes with, we've all heard of impulse shopping. In the store, you can convince yourself why you absolutely need this thing, and you will buy it, and you'll have a rational view of why you needed to buy this thing until an hour later when you get home and you're like, what the heck why did I buy that? I did not need this. I find trading is much the same way in my case, where I will impulsively get into a trade, but I justified it in my mind at the time. How would you suggest we manage the rationalizing of an impulsive decision to make it sound good, as opposed to just sticking to the plan that we set out before you got into the heat of battle?
Well, those are two great examples. Let's just take the easier one. The shopping situation is a common people often. This is where getting to know what your triggers are. Sometimes people tend to go shopping because there's an underlying anxiety and they want to kind of create to buy things that will feed them. I mean, not literally, maybe literally, but comfort them. And so the timing of when you go shopping. So if you're feeling that need, it's maybe not the best thing to do. Now, trading is a daily thing, so you don't have control of when the market's open. But what you can do is become more aware of how you're feeling. I know, for instance, just personally, when I'm feeling anxious about things, I tend to gravitate towards maybe doing things more impulsively. So I have learned for myself that when I'm feeling anxious, I need to slow down on all of my decision-making endeavors, because I may want to just kind of more impulsively make decisions to reduce the level of anxiety, which works for the moment, but often those decisions are not good long-term. So again, becoming more aware of how you're feeling each trading day. If you're calm and peaceful and kind of feel more grounded with yourself, probably will be easier to be patient and less impulsive. If you're feeling anxious, and this could be like there's something happening in your personal life, or you've just had a couple of difficult trading days, you may be more prone to acting impulsively. So self-awareness, self-monitoring, being kind of brutally honest and open and candid with yourself, I think, is the first step of identification in terms of that process.
Well, perfect. And thank you for that. We do have to let Carlos get on with his level analysis, but I know we'll have the opportunity to talk about this later in other webinars. Dr. Katz, thank you as always. You are a fountain of knowledge upon which we drink every Monday morning. So thank you.
Great, Peter. Nice seeing you again, my man. Be well. Everybody have a good week.
All right. Have a great one.
Here we go. Thank you so much, Dr. Katz. Appreciate that information that we get every Monday morning. All right, guys, let's get to it here. Our watches right now, we have Sono on deck. We have Mara. We have Neo, which is has some good volume today. We have Oxy as well, which continues to just hang around here below at down at 2.6. We have CCL and we have AMD. So I think this looks pretty good. Again, not a blockbuster list for sure. We've seen better watch lists in the past, but we'll see how these things develop as we get closer to that 930. Space is on here. I have space because, again, I think it might be a little extended towards the downside. Maybe we might be seeing some action towards the top here. They're down slightly right now. Again, pre-market right now, it's not looking great. Very, very, very choppy. We'll see if this can break out and start to trade a little nicer. Secondary list, we have BABA as well, which is good. We have XBEV here. NEO is the main one, but XBEV, I think, is also in play with plenty of the other EVs. TVTX taking off here, guys. So this thing is seeing some good price action now. Now it's up 36%, 3 million shares traded. So that's doing pretty good there. Here is Wish. I'm going to remove Wish, guys. I don't think Wish is really in play today. I'm going to get rid of that one. I know their volume is nice, but again, we saw the guts of this one, as you would say. The inside of this thing is very algo-like. I'm not sure if that's broken or not, so we'll get rid of it. Billy is, I like to drop on Billy. I will keep it on there. X is good, and Apple, I think, is a good one as well. So we got a very large secondary list here this morning. As far as prime low flows, SPRT is kind of losing it. I'm going to get rid of it as well. Volume is still not great on this. ENLV is dropping down. NAOV is probably the best one this morning, so we'll keep these two for now. But I think both NAOV is probably the better one with 9 million shares traded. All right, let's do some levels here, guys. Here's SONO this morning. Low of the pre-market, we're sitting at 40.91. We'll put a level there. High of the pre-market over at 43. Almost 44, 43.99. So we'll throw a level there as well. And as we move over here to the left, you can see some of these levels playing nicely with the daily right over here. That is your low of your pre-market, and above that, that is your high of your pre-market. Price action right now, I know this daily is not great, but you can see here the price action where it is right now at 42.12. You do have a couple of days opening, closing, and slamming their wicks on that. So 42.24, I'm going to put a level there as well. We're going to have that in case we move away from this area in the pre-market. That is the level we want to keep a close eye on. It can become support or resistance depending on what we want to do as we move into that pre-market, that market open. So outside of this 44.01, outside of this range, do we have anything above that? Looks like not in the last 52 weeks. Maybe is that all-time high? Is that 44? What could be this level here, 44.64. I'm going to slam a level there. I think that might be all-time high. Definitely 52-week high, so that's going to be important either way. So we'll slam a level there. And then towards the bottom, guys, I don't think you need to add anymore. You do have the highs and lows from the last two trading days right on there. You're pretty much set as far as that. Here is Mara. So Mara, this is the Bitcoin one I'm going to watch today. Again, they had a nice little run the last couple of weeks here, and then got a little top around 37, now slamming down with a couple of red days in here. This morning, low of the pre-market sitting at 33.11. Again, it doesn't look great, guys, as far as volume. So This is more of a possible. We'll keep it on here because we have the space. We don't have a blockbuster list today, but this is really more of a possible the more you look at it. So 33.11, low of the pre-market. Below that, we do have a level here over at 31.44. Towards the top, you do have the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You're pretty much covered there. Again, I think this should be moved down to a possible. I don't think it's really in play, at least not right now. Here is NEO. NEO's trying to get a bounce going. They are sitting at a low of the pre-market of 38.85. If you go here back to the left, you can see that was a great area of support in the past. We slammed down here and managed to recover that a few days later. And now we're at this level again. Someone mentioned NEO had a crash, a fatal crash over on YouTube. Not sure how accurate that is. But that is obviously never good. High of the pre-market sitting at 40.24. We'll slam a level there as well. And then above this 40.24, which is your high of your pre-market, tons of levels, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Below this 38.85, which is, again, daily level here and also low of your pre-market this morning. Let's go to the left and see what we find here. We might get something coming off. Yeah, it's a good level here, guys, over at 37.25. Nice area of support. Great area of support happening here. Resistance as well in a couple of places, but you can see how many touches this thing has going back towards the left here as far as our daily. Below that, we do have another area too that has a nice area of support and resistance. Great support happening here and a lot of resistance here. Could not get above this level for some time there as it hung out down here. This 34.42 level there. So I think that's plenty on NEO. I don't think we're going to be getting to that 34.42. Something really bad has to happen, I think, for that to take place, but we're ready if it does, as it hangs around here around the VWAP this morning, down 4.3. Amazing volume this morning, guys, 2.6. At Peter, I think you mentioned this earlier. This thing might be a little bit choppy with the EVs at first. Well, the volume going through it. So again, just be patient, guys. You might need to wait, 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes even to get this thing to settle down and pick a direction. The volume is there. We just need the volume to kind of be controlled here. Here's Oxy, guys. Again, still hasn't picked up a whole lot of volume since we last saw it. Only 193, down 2.8. I like the fact that they lost this level here. Again, if we had a better list this morning, this would probably be a possible. We'll keep it on here because it'll fill a spot on the 6 tickers that I can watch on my platform here. 24.94 is the low of the pre-market. Towards the bottom here, we have 23.97. And then towards the top, guys, plenty of levels, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Sold off big on Friday. You can see that it was stuck within this range here, right? You could clearly see that 27 and 26. Sold off from the top of this range all the way to the bottom of this range. And today we're losing that level of support and slamming into this 25, basically 24.94. So let's see how this is going to play out this morning. Here is CCL, guys. Again, the travel sector is just kind of interesting lately with everything going on. 22.67. 22.21, low of the pre-market there. The top of the pre-market, the high of the pre-market is over at 22.67. That's the correct one there. And then towards the bottom of that, guys, we do have some levels here over at 21.52, and we do have another one here over at 20.55 on CCL. Again, another one that I don't think is really in play. I think this is more of a possible as well. We'll have to see how the travel companies are going to be playing this morning. AMD going from red to green this morning. This is nice. It could be setting up a potential for a nice continuation from Friday's action. Low of the pre-market, 109.90. Towards the bottom, guys, there's so many levels. You do not need to add anything more. Just look at all the support you have down here around 108, 106, 107. Again, tons of stuff happening there. Trying to get green this morning. High of the pre-market is going to be all the way up here at 111.21. So we'll throw a level there. And then slightly above that, guys, we got some very clean levels on this one. 114. You do have another one here over at 117, and then all the way up here, their all-time high around 122-ish, 36 or so. So plenty of support towards the bottom. AMD looking very good. Volume is a little bit light, though, only 418 for what they can do, right? This is a great move with lighter than expected volume on them. So that's interesting. I would expect a lot more with the way how clean this pre-market action looks for AMD this morning. But we'll see. Looking very good right now. Trying to continue from yesterday's action. All right, that is what we have. Let's head over here to our moderators lineup. Let's see what we got going on today. Let's resize this over here. Let's get rid of that. All right, get rid of that, get rid of this, and then we can bring this over. Very nice. Here we go. Resize this so you guys can actually read it. And we'll bring this right over here. Let's see what our moderators are looking at today. We are starting with Thor. Oh no, Jared. Jared has SPX. He's looking at that. He's also has some option stuff going on here. And then his This Week in History. Nice. You guys can take a look at that. Thor is looking at watch list Neo, Microsoft, Apple, secondary list MU, mRNA, and CCL. Dima is looking at Sono, Wish, Neo, and Apple. Mike is looking at Tesla, Apple, and Nvidia. Jared is looking at TLT, Apple, Tesla, Neo, and then secondary list AMC and Sono. Also adding AMD. Yes, AMD is looking very good this morning. John, not liking anything in particular today. Again, we don't have a great list today, guys, so you got to be patient, right? When we just talked about not being impulsive, this is one of those days where that impulsiveness will be tested, so you want to be very cautious. Here's Tiffany looking at Tesla, Neo, Sono, and TVTX. No IPOs for today. Brian is looking at Sono, holding some from Friday. Very nice. TBTX, TSP, AMD, and also KWeb as well. And Peter, my man, you're looking at AMD, Apple, Neo, secondary list, TBTX, Sono, and Nvidia. And Eamon is looking at AMD and also FSLY on his list. So, all right, guys, that is what we have to start the week. Again, to start a Monday is not looking all that great. Our watch list has been way better than this. So again, cannot stress enough, guys. Be very patient as we move into our market open today. Coming up live will be Brian and Thor. I see Thor is already on. Good morning, Thor. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Carlos. Good morning, everybody.
All right, excellent.
Morning,
Brian should
Thor.
be logging on very shortly here, and we should be all set to go. Guys, over on YouTube, if you have not done so already, please make sure you hit that thumbs up. We appreciate you very much for doing that. It means a lot to us over here when you do hit that thumbs up. So thank you for that very much. If you're the first time here, consider subscribing. We do this every Monday through Friday when the market is open, starting around 8 a.m. and 8:30 on Fridays. So excellent. All right, looks like Brian is on, guys. We're going to hand it off to him. So take care, trade safe, and we will see you guys in the chat.
Take care, everybody.
Good morning,
good morning,
everybody.
Brian.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I think Neo might be a little fun today, Brian. They've got some news. Well, Neo's squeezing now, but there's some news that Neo had a fatal car accident in China. Their auto drive apparently had a little bit of an issue, and an entrepreneur that was in there has had a bit of a bad day with it. So it's going to be very interesting to watch how the market responds to that today.
No, I only use 1 minute or 2 minute charts. Got enough charts to watch. Yes, I haven't looked at Neo yet. The gappers list is building. Lee is down as well, I see. Some of the travel stocks
SPY is
down.
Opening really far down. It's looking to open below S5 and S6 today. So I don't know. That means a big drop already. So we might have a squeeze at the open. So the SPY might go into like a hard rally, maybe dead cat style.
Possibly. Neo's pouncing up a bit. Liking TSP for a Rising Devil trade. Yeah, I think Carlos and Peter are pretty accurate here. I think we want to just wait and see what happens. Things settle out here a little bit. I'm looking at mRNA too. It looks really weak.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah. Wow.
mRNA has this kind of like area it set not long ago, which is like around like the 377 or so area. If it goes much lower, that happens to line up with S4. So if we could break down from there, that could be a fun ride.
Yeah.
mRNA can be a little hard to trade for some of the newer traders, though. It is kind of a higher price stock that runs a pretty nasty spread.
Yeah,
Buck
totally.
Sometimes, buck and change.
Yeah. I'd be looking for a pop on that one too. Maybe up to 384-ish, where the VWAP is.
Mm-hmm.
Good place to get short. Something else that's just gone green is space. So there you go. Space. Space is And space is actually starting to pop up here, which is pretty funny. Yeah, we were hanging around after the close on Friday, and Sona came out with that news about the lawsuit. So I bought a couple hundred shares and then sold them just before the market closed on Friday. But I just sold the last a bit of it here at 42.44. Yeah, so that was
Beautiful.
nice. Yeah. I thought that was pretty
All right,
decent.
we got
Decent news.
about a half a minute till the open. I am unlocking the montage, ready to go live. So let's see what happens. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to try and probably take my time this morning and not try and spend too much of my money in the first 5 minutes.
There you go. Yeah. So here we go. We got 10 seconds to the open. So waiting here. Space dropping, mRNA dropping. Ooh, did
All
a
right,
big
I'm short
drop.
some
Yeah, it's pretty
Neo.
erratic. Just got
Cover.
long some TSP. It's breaking through the VWAP here through 28. Ooh,
Covering. Nice.
yeah,
Big
just
drop on
selling.
Neo.
Yeah, big drop on mRNA too here. And I'm short some as well there at 375. Oh, just going to cover some here. Just covering some TSP.
I'm actually going to take a little more off in case we bounce here. No, awesome. Go, go, go. Ha 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 ha. Yes. All right. Big partial Neo 3870. Sweet.
Just covered some more mRNA there, 371. What's going on with TSP?
Wow.
Sweet. I made some pretty decent money on that mRNA short.
Nice. Good job, Ryan. I just blew out Neo. I already got almost a full dollar drop out of this thing.
Here goes AMD popping up. Who I think I'm going to end up being short here or long here through maybe a halt on TSP.
The SPY is staying in a very narrow range right now. It is not squeezed up at all. So it's interesting to see everything. Qs is kind of ripping up, but the SPY itself is stuck right here. So I don't know what to think of that.
Look at AMD
but tech
go.
is moving while it can.
I do have some AMD calls from last week, 110s. Might just sell some here.
I'm trying to short on AMD here just to see if it drops back to
Wait,
VWAP.
wait before I sell my calls.
All right, partial. Sorry. Solid drop, solid drop.
Yeah.
It still may squeeze me out here, but that was a really nice drop. I'll take it.
Well, got up pretty close to the yesterday's or Friday's high before it just rejected from there. All right. Okay, so I'm covering the rest of mRNA. Wow, that was a killer trade.
What did you get? mRNA short?
It was just
yes,
super.
S4 baby. The thing died. Good trade, man.
SPY is rolling over here. So is the IWM.
Oh, good. Come on. Go. Yes. Go. Drop you. I thought I was going to get stopped. Oh, I still might.
Wow, look at
AMD
Microsoft
keeps buying up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Microsoft and AMD. Both of those have gone green on the day. Facebook's gone green. You just can't keep Microsoft and Apple down, I'll tell you.
No doubt. All right, I'm bailed at break even on the rest of my AMD. Because she looks like she's going to launch.
Yeah, there you go.
And she did. Great stop out, though. Very happy with that.
No positions for me now. I'm all out of everything. I'm actually going to go short Neo here. 38.70.
I just added into my short.
Yeah, see if it can
I just
drop
added
some
short
more
Neo.
here. Nice. Come on. Follow it.
Yeah, get some.
Come on, give it to us.
Look at that bearish ladder on Neo. So good. Come on, 38.50. Let's go. Bam, partial.
Okay. Covering some a little bit here. Covered some at 52.
Look at the SPY. SPY is dying for us.
Yeah.
Right back to S5 and then just totally keeled.
I'm out of the rest of Neo flat. I just don't like the way it's kind of put in a double bottom there. Might even be a long from here.
There's a level here. I got it marked off the weekly. Looks like 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, 38.65, 66 was the low of the week. So, and that's the lowest price it had had for almost, I don't know, the past 2 months. So this is definitely a line in the sand spot we might bounce off of. So that's probably a good decision.
Yeah, just the way it held that 38.50 level and make kind of good indication it's probably going to hang on there.
Yeah, look at that big green coming in on the tape there. Neo's going to get squeezed probably.
Yeah, there's a squeeze. I should have flipped my position.
Yeah, there's a lot of buying on the tape right now on the big side. Ooh, that was a big. That was a lot of sells.
Bit of a rejection. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's 50,
if it goes
50.
through $39, I'm out the rest of my position.
Netflix, Roku's gone green. Interesting.
I think I just saw Jared buying into Neo. Was that your 10,000 shares, Jared?
TSP is open, guys. Yeah. Yeah, big squeeze at the open on TSP. Amazing.
What did MU do, Andrej? Oh no, MU, it's gone.
Did MU
It
sell
took
off?
off.
Oh, MU's
No,
up. Wow.
it launched.
Wow.
Dang.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Look at that. I'm not trying to sell you guys on these Camarilla pivots or anything. Well, maybe I am. But MU, come on, second minute, 9:31, S4 to the penny. And then full traverse to R4. My gosh.
Wow.
That's
ENLV
beautiful.
was crazy. Yeah, there goes mRNA too. Another watch for 350 on mRNA. I think there'll be, if it makes it there, it'll be significant support.
Chris F., I don't like how you're trying to get Neo to squeeze me out of my position right now. I don't think that's very nice. I mean, you're probably right, but it doesn't mean it's nice. Here it goes. Watch Neo. Or it's, ooh boy.
Yeah, Neo's trying to get through the VWAP, which is right at the
coiling up
at the 9 moving average as well. Do or die right there.
For sure.
Yeah, I know Apple's a beast. It's gone through 150. Dang, eh? I think Neo's really
people got MU. That's good.
Here we go. Neo's breaking out here.
I'm out if it goes through 39. I've just got my little flag just sitting right here, just waving at the price. How you doing? So close. You don't want me. You want to go down.
Wow.
You want to lose pre-market low.
Yeah, look at the TLT rip.
No, you don't.
Jared, you're right. You're just popping up aggressive here. Yeah, Neo does not want to sell off, but it's still struggling to get through that 39 level. Here we go.
It's going to pop through, take me out of my position, then drop. Yeah. All right, I'm out. I give in. It's through 39, so I'm out. So now it can drop.
Yeah.
What a day, though. Great trades. I'm done.
Yeah.
That Neo drop was spectacular. Watch. Here it goes.
Spine, another leg lower. Yeah, it did not. It's still using that 9 moving. Still using that 9 moving average as resistance.
SPY trying to bounce a little bit here. We got, I think we got pre-market low right here on SPY.
Yeah. There goes Neo. There goes Neo. Neo's fighting. It's putting up a fight.
I told you, it already took me out of my position, so it can drop now. It looks like it's really buying up, though, on the time and sales, the large tape. There is a lot of buying coming in here, but there's a lot of selling, too. And I just think it doesn't quite have the ladder in place for a long side run. So it's just kind of chopping here now in between with all these large orders available right at this price. It's just not going to go anywhere. It might get stuck here for a bit, but we'll see. It keeps buying, though, on the tape. I really think it looks... it's hard to read right now.
Yeah. Look at Neo's down at 360. Just lost 360. Or mRNA. Sorry, guys. mRNA.
You still got any of that going on mRNA?
No, I sold the rest of it.
Cool.
And I really should have kept some. That was
Get that lunch money.
yeah. It came back up to the View app, rejected it. Space is breaking out here, guys. I think it's gonna go. Might. It's sitting at S2 level. S3 is up at 25.85. Wow, AMD sinking. MU is the one that's popping up here.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of some out of those AMD calls. Although it will probably come back. I just like the way AMD bounced back on Friday. I liked it the way it looked on the daily. It's like TSP is.
Shares just
There we go. Here goes space now. There's that's S3. Yeah, Neo's just not doing much of anything. It's just
there's a lot of
hanging.
heavy transactions. There's tons of volume. It's just not going anywhere.
Just hanging
There
around.
goes space.
Yeah.
Launch. Ooh, 26,000 shares just bought at $25.90 on space.
Yeah. What did I tell you? I knew it was. I knew it. I knew space was going up.
Aha! Drink. Just kidding.
Is this a new drinking game? Every time says
Morning
Brian
drinking.
says,
anytime you or I say I knew it, we gotta drink. This whole room would get really bad at trading by about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Did anyone take that space trade? Space trade.
Oh yeah, we got
nice guys. All right, good deal.
How's life over there in YouTube Landia? How are you guys doing today? Natash, you asked, can I trade the U.S. market? I'm in India. Absolutely. As long as you're awake at the time that the market is awake and you have a platform that is dialed in, you can certainly trade from India. Unless there's some kind of internet issue that I'm aware of. So obviously it depends on your locale and having good internet. But otherwise, yeah, if you can get through a broker, there's some offshore brokers you can use. There's also some onshore brokers as well. So definitely some good options for you. Neo has this really big level here, Bailey. It's the only thing that I'm really kind of like focused on. This 38.66 weekly, monthly level. It responded very well to that level. So, and there's not really a ton of L2 to the downside. I mean, there's a bit. So we might still get another leg down to 38 on this one. So, but right now it seems like it's almost trying to kind of go into like a little balance phase. The volume's starting to taper off. So it might just get choppy for a little bit. So, but fingers crossed, maybe it'll drop for you. I'm out of it. So it came and squeezed me at 39, and then I decided I was going to stick out. Zachy, what I mean by the ladder is when you're using your level 2 in your montage, I like to highlight my larger orders, anything over like 50 lot. And then what you do is you look to make sure that you have good orders to the top side or the downside. When you trade, it's important that there's somewhere for the market maker to go and to run the orders so that your trade happens faster and doesn't just get stuck chopping around for a long time. So that's what I mean by having a good ladder. You need to have plenty of orders for this thing to run. I can try space, sure. There goes Neo.
Space is just hanging around S3. It kind of rejected yesterday's or Friday's high. That's where it stalled out. TVTX has been a real dud.
I told you Neo was going to take me out and then drop. Oh, I knew it.
Oh, there you go. Here's your drop. It's back to this 38. It's probably going to come back, maybe hold here again. I think the challenge now with Neo is it's you still got people that are in there buying. What's the
Yeah, I don't know why, Seth. I don't know why Neo needed my like 20 shares that I had left over, but they came and got them.
Well, FLGC keeps popping up on the scanner. Well, I'm looking for something to trade here. Space is right at the high of Friday again. Sono's rolling over. Sort of losing a level here. I'm going to take a short on Sono on that bit of a break there. 40.44. See if we can see if this gets down below 40 here.
I'm trying a little short here on Microsoft. Oh, well, that was very nice of you.
Apple's gone red on the day. SPY continues to sell off. IWM is kind of looking like it's trying to bounce here. The Qs are still selling off. Ooh,
that was awesome.
Everything's selling off here.
That timing was just great. I went short on Microsoft right when that happened. It was
Nice.
Just lucky timing. Just got like a $1 drop almost out of Microsoft in a minute.
I hate my entry on Sono, so I'm gonna cover it here. I didn't like. I was just chasing it. I was getting bored. So I'll see if it comes back up to the VWAP, and then not the VWAP, the 9 moving average, and then I'll short it again if it gets there. Be a good time to buy some TNA here.
Partial Microsoft at the previous day's close. Let's see what happens. Wow. Great. Q's really selling off.
Yeah.
Thanks to my
No
buddy
kidding.
Microsoft. Partial 292.50 and change. What a drop.
Yeah. I think, oh, there goes Sonos going to drop now, or maybe hold. Jeez. Didn't quite make it up to the where I would want to take in another short there. Spies continuing to sell off. There is base just lost it.
I've made almost the same exact trade on Microsoft. I think 3 days in a row now. It just kind of rallies and then just kind of stays underneath R3, and it just back tested a couple of times, and then I get it when it rolls the averages. Same thing on Microsoft today. Same exact thing. It was so good. I went short right when it lost 294. My stop loss was like 294, 10 or 11. Really tight stop. And so got a really nice drop on it. Yeah, the volume spike going into that was part of the predication. There was a little bit of volume on a hammer there, and then it started to roll and lose the averages. So bid wasn't beautiful on it, but it was definitely heavier than the ask. Still some orders down near 291. So it worked. That's it for me. I'm not going to do any more trades today. Yeah, this was my last one for the day. Yeah, for sure. I just blew
took
out
some
goal. I just like tripled my daily goal on Microsoft. So
just took some TNA long at 82.45. Just see if it's going to hold here. This is a really tight stop because this is low of day, and it seems to be kind of holding here. But if it doesn't hold, then I'll just stop out. Might be a little early for a some bottoming action, but we'll see. Spy's trying to hold here. There's Sono back to the 9 moving average. Q's and Spy are trying to bounce here. Big bounce on the Spy.
ooh, yep.
mRNA looks like it might be trying to put in a double bottom here.
I'm gonna try adding into my short here on Microsoft at the opening price. The squeeze was on pretty low volume. And new stop loss will be the loss of 293.50. If it goes through there, done for the day. Otherwise, let's have some fun.
Oh, Sono back through 41. Nice pop. I knew it was going to hold there. Glad I got out of that short. Let's see what it does at the VWAP. I'm actually going to take a short on it. A small size this time, just at 41.05. If it gets through the VWAP, I'll bail on it.
Hey, K Money, what's up, buddy? I would expect nothing less than a monster trade from. Look at this mRNA trade on. He's in short pre-market 389.78. Still
Just
in it.
covered some Sono there at 40.95. Just because this is just looking like it's going to chop. It might even squeeze here.
There we go.
And I'm going to get out of the rest of it because it looks like it's going to go through the VWAP. So that was a nothing trade. Still holding that TNA. It looks like it's still trying to hold here. It looks like the Qs are trying to put in a double bottom here. This would be a good place to buy some TQQQ. With a tight stop. Wow, TVTX, just no love.
Taking a little profit off of my ad on Microsoft. So nice of you, Microsoft. Let's do this. The stock has been treating me really nice the past few days.
Yeah, sometimes you just pick up on a stock that's got a nice groove to it, nice trading groove to it.
It's just Microsoft's just super overvalued right now. Like VWAP even on the daily on this thing is back at $250. So it's like every day it just kind of pushes a little higher and then sells off a bit. It's just, it's really having trouble getting away further. So it just gives me these little opportunities, which I like.
Well, definitely, if you take it a look at it on larger time frames, like on a weekly time frame and a monthly time frame, look at those charts and you look at the RSI on those, and it's just the RSI is like 95. It's just so overbought. It doesn't mean it just can't stay overbought forever, but or a long period of time. But yeah, it just shouldn't be. It does need to do some consolidation, work off some of that froth. Wow, Facebook's had quite the ride this morning. Pre-market just held that Friday's low a couple times, then just roller coastered up to Friday's high, rolled over, and roller coastered down to that S3, right off that S3 level. And now we're just sitting flat on the day.
Oh, there goes Neo. Finally, that took a long time, huh? It dropped.
Yeah, real fight between buyers and sellers.
Yeah, that was a battle.
Yeah. I'm just going to sell some TNA here. Just got a nice little pop on that.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we
Sono.
go.
Yeah, look at
Good
Sono
Microsoft.
go, eh? It's right back to 42. Look at that. That's a Camarilla numbers S1. This is an area where it churned in the pre-market too, so we may get some resistance here. $50. A lot of people like Sono. I mean, I've heard people talk about Sono being a buyout candidate for years, but nobody's stepped up yet.
All right, out a little more Microsoft, 292.50.
mRNA is trying to hold this 358 level. Still looks weak though. Yeah, mRNA was a really nice short right at the open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
mRNA, I mean, its VWAP on the daily is still at like $220. And so even where we are, we're still like $1.30 over the average price paid, right? So, I mean, it had a big value area. It looks like around like 307. It's probably headed back to somewhere around there at some point. For no one institutional is going to buy at this level. They're going to need it to come down.
Yeah, I was looking at 350 because that's as a temporary, just as a place it might bounce, because 350 is a nice, with those 50
solid
and
psychological
100,
number.
Yeah, so those $50 and $100 levels that tend to provide some
it did
support.
Do a previous consolidation there for a few days as well, so that might be a good spot for sure.
Exactly, it's about the area it broke out from. This 350 after it did a bit of an ascending triangle there. Space is pretty hard to trade, but yeah, that was definitely a mountain pass, or at least a higher low. Peter's the mountain pass expert. He can comment on space, but it stalled out at Friday's high, pulled back to the VWAP, bounced off that, made a lower high, and now it's just heading lower. Still hanging on to some TNA here. Not technically a mountain pass, says Peter. Yeah, AMD is still sinking. Wow. The Qs are not performing as well as the SPY, which has had a pretty decent bounce back here. Walmart is popping up on the scanner. ABBV. Walmart reports this week, I believe. Wow, look at Walmart's on a tear.
Oh, it sure is.
Wow. It's killing
Spread's
it.
actually pretty narrow too for Walmart.
Yeah,
I mean,
2
it must be in
cents.
play.
Yeah.
We're only running like a 1 to 2 cent spread in most intervals. That's pretty good for Microsoft.
Okay.
Or I mean Walmart.
Wow. Yeah, look at the TLT really rolled over, ain't there? Hey, Jared?
Low volume.
Yeah, just
though.
turned around.
This
Oh,
little
and the
Walmart
queues
move
just
is on bizarrely low volume.
Okay, Bailey. I don't know about the huge glass.
They call that a bottle
Bad.
where we come from.
Bad things happen when I drink too much tequila. Or good things, depending on how you look
I've heard
at
that. I heard good things. So
it. Oh, yeah. Wow. TVTX has been on
Robin is interested.
such as, well, yeah. So maybe that's how the pole dancing started in Japan.
I don't know what happened, Brian, but I just decided to short Walmart on a whim,
Okay.
and then it immediately dropped, which was real nice of it.
Yeah.
Now let's see if it squeezes back up and stops me out, or if it's gonna hang on to this.
Still holding on to some TNA here. I got a nice little, nice pick on the bottom there.
Shh, Shane, don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to be trading anymore.
Bad boy.
Yeah. Partial. That's awesome. Ooh. Out more Walmart here at this low area, low a day, 292. Or more Microsoft out. Now I'm going to confuse myself. I'm short in 2 positions. Short everything. Let's go.
SPY has been bouncing back. The IWM is coming back up. I'm going to sell a little bit more IWM here. Or TNA, I should say. So a nice bounce on that one. The Qs are just continuing to roll over here. That's interesting.
They continue to help my Microsoft.
Yeah. Apple's gone, is down a percent now.
All right, huge drop on Microsoft. I'm down to like trailing position now. I just got pre-market low and S3, so that was my full traverse on Microsoft. Really happy about that. Microsoft, good times. What a day.
Yeah, amazing.
Check out
Yeah,
this
look at
crazy
MR.
Walmart short I just
Wow.
took.
Yeah, and wow, mRNA is getting down to that 350 level.
Manny, why is mRNA selling off so much? That's a fair question. It's hard to know, obviously, the exact reason why, right? Because, supply and demand just kind of being a thing. No, actually, so what happened is mRNA it went all the way to $500. So normally what happens, Manny, is you have two phases of a stock when it's in catalyst, like mRNA has been. You basically have the speculative phase, and then you have like an institutional phase. So in the beginning, it's mostly speculators like you and me, retail traders and players, right? We're coming in, we're buying now, we're going to sell, we're going to swing trade, we're going to day trade, all that. But the long-term participants don't always just get in so fast. They like to let things rally out, find value, and then they'll start getting in. So you'll often see these really, really strong stocks have massive sell-offs as institutions kind of force the price lower for them to buy in. So I think you're seeing some big time profit taking, because you got to think the average price paid per participant right now on the daily is still at like $220. So you've got a lot of profit taking. The lower it goes, the more profit's going to get taken. And then your big players, your big buyers are going to start coming in and getting it when it's more out of value to them. So yeah, exactly. So there, you got some that are emptying out and taking profit, while others now are starting to accumulate and buy in. So and that will drive the price on anything lower. So
Yeah, I think the problem with mRNA is it just became a really heated trade. A lot of momentum traders were piling into it, and you could see that. You could see the that last big candle where was a bunch of just the last of the momentum traders jumping in on August 9th. And after that, after it hit that 500 level, which is, sort of a psychological level, just coming up to it, there was just nobody left to push it higher. Nobody left to buy it. And really, and this is just way, when people talk about some of the fundamentals. I mean, I know we don't generally talk about fundamentals, but but I've heard price, levels that this is probably worth $120, $130 if everything really goes well with a lot of the drugs they have in the pipeline.
mm-hmm.
So, it's just got ridiculously extended. I'm wondering if this right at this 350 level now.
All right, I'm covering the rest of my position on Microsoft at 291 even. I'm out of shares, so I'm taking them off there. That's going to be the whole trade and all out. 290. What an incredible drop though on Microsoft. We will take that.
To me, it looks like mRNA is going to try to bounce from this 350 level. We'll see. It's still in a downtrend. Ooh, SPY just took a big wallop there. I'm just going to set a stop on my TNA trade. like around 83.30.
Thank you, Kyle.
So looking at some options on mRNA, but they're really expensive right now. If I sold a 350 put, I would collect $14. Okay, I'm out of the rest of TNA. I think mRNA is going lower. It just feels like it.
Well, good sir, I think I'm going to cut it
Yeah.
for the day. I think I'm done. I've already kind of broken rules and
Yeah.
keep trading twice, so I just have a feeling that if I don't like lock this montage and walk away, I'm going to wreck what was already been probably one of my best trading days of the year, actually, so
Awesome.
far. So
Awesome.
really got a monster short on Microsoft, pulled in about 6R on that one. Little short on AMD, big short on Neo, another 4R, and then this Walmart short, I'm up about 3R on that one. So looking like probably I'll have to run the numbers on it, but I think it might be my my best day of the year so far. So this is going to be awesome.
Nice.
So everyone, they were like, "Hey, why don't I do news? And Thor, you can trade with Brian this morning since Andrew's not going to be there." And I was like, "Did someone say trading the morning with the Prophet of Profit?" I'm in. So
You're
thanks,
in.
brother. Always just awesome trading with you. Always just seem to
Yeah,
crush and make some money when I'm trading with you, brother.
we do. We seem to always make some decent trades. So yeah, thanks for joining in again this morning. Always good to trade with you. And you're on a little
Absolutely.
later, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I'll be back on at 1 p.m. to do my
Okay.
afternoon time. And then
Sweet.
everyone out there in YouTube Landia, thanks for hanging out with us and doing a little trading this morning. If you had a good time, throw us a like. That's all we ask. I hope
Yeah.
everyone made some money today. And as always, y'all, keep it green.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Thor. And again, if you check, Thor will be back on a little later here. Oh, look at that bounce on mRNA after it did that little false breakdown. Jared, you'll laugh. I sold a 350 put naked, just one, just to be part of history. Think I'm probably going to cover it here. Okay, I sold it at 15, covered it at 13. It probably wasn't worth the risk, but whatever. Yeah, this 350 level is a pretty significant level here. Well, SPY is back down to low of day here. Just did a big fail on that 1 5-minute candle. What's AMC? AMC doing something fun. DNA just bounced off the VWAP. That's interesting. Yeah, AMD should come back. I mean, the Qs should come back as well. I'm thinking at some point there'll be a reversal trade there too. What's AMC doing? Meme stocks. Wow. Yeah, that was a big pop on AMC. Bit of a volume spike there on that candle. Just more. It was more of a call at knowing the way space tends to trade. It tends to trade. It doesn't seem to follow the market. It just seems to do its own thing. I think people like it because it's kind of. I think it is kind of a meme stock to begin with, and it's really sort of a sexy sector that there aren't a lot of opportunities to trade in, the whole space idea. So, and the other thing that kind of caught my eye, I must have had it up. It was one chart I hadn't changed since Friday, so I must have been watching it on Friday because I didn't notice it in the pre-market. If you look at the price action in the pre-market, it kind of sold off around 9 o'clock, but then it started to come back up again just prior to the open, and then really it just it just started to take off. Went green at the open. When you always, I'm always looking for, it actually went green before the open. I'm always looking for some anomalies, and so seeing a stock like space in the green when everything pretty much on the screen is red is kind of a flag. Yeah, look at AMC's ripping. SPY's making a new low. I still say the buying brigade comes in here at some point. Probably it may not be till for another half hour, 45 minutes. All right. Oh, look at mRNA is going to pop here. It's going to squeeze. There's been a lot of shorting probably So you're probably getting some squeezing action as well based on, and of course, touching that 350 level. That's exactly where said it was going to bounce from. Pretty much to the penny. We did hit a low of 349. All right, it is 7:30. This is, I think we're going to drop off here off of YouTube. So I hope everyone had a good day. It was definitely some good trading opportunities. And yeah, so please give us a like, subscribe. We're here pretty much every morning. And if you did want to try us out for a week, $24, pretty cheap. And that way you won't have to listen to a delayed feed, because you're getting a delayed feed when you're listening on YouTube. So thanks again for joining us this morning. I hope you had a profitable day, and we'll look forward to maybe seeing you tomorrow.